Do you ever experience knots in your shoulders or in your back that you related to stress? Well, maybe it's not stress. Maybe it's emotions that you were never able to express. Well, today on The Holistic Half, we're going to venture into the world of Amanae to teach you a new style of release.
Joining me today is Jackman from Sebastopol, California, and she's an Amanae practitioner. And if you've never heard of Amanae, join the club, because I hadn't either until I came to this area. So if you could just tell us all about it and how you came about to be a practitioner.
I came about being a I was a social worker for 22 years, and I, Christmas Day 1992, had severe, severe chest pains, where I was on the ground every few minutes. I didn't have health insurance. I actually lived in this town of Healdsburg. I didn't have health insurance, so I just stayed with it, and I'm afraid of doctors anyway. So I stayed with it all day, and I was probably down every 5 minutes in these contractions with total chest pains. Right. Somebody then said something about some kind of work that they were going to. Did I want to go to this workshop, blah, 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 because she was afraid to go by herself. She'd pay, and I could pay her back through my lifetime. Right. I said, okay. She said, you have to have a session first. I had the session. I didn't get into the workshop. I had the session, and the session to me was profound, because as soon as the woman put her hands on my heart, little did she know that I had the chest pains. I was thinking, oh my God, she doesn't even know I had chest pains, and she put her hand here. She put her hand there, and I just started screaming the words, no, no, and all this stuff started coming out that when I got off the table, it was like, I don't know who that was.
Or what'd you do to me?
I didn't know who that was, but whatever she was doing, that's her, and I can get off with a smile, okay? Right. I ended up, because of that, seemed so like, wow. I ended up getting into another workshop at a later date, because that other one was filled, and it was absolutely the absolute most profound experience of my life. I could not believe how I did not live in this body, and I understood why I didn't live in this body. This body was a war zone.
Now, see, when people would say that to me, oh, Steffi, you're not present, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm here.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not present? I'm sitting in this chair. I know I'm here.
Yeah.
But there's another level to it, correct?
Yes. Trauma, which all of us had trauma. Trauma could be as simple as your father took off on a truck one day when you were 2, and you thought he left you forever because nobody explained that he was coming back at 5 o'clock. Right. Trauma can be you were in a car accident, you were molested, you were raped, you were severely physically abused. Lots of trauma is whatever you interpret it as trauma. Right. Those traumas get held in our body. Okay, so how did we survive our traumas? We all wanted to get loved, okay? I give this example a lot, which is you're 2 years old, you're having a little tantrum. Your mother says, go to your room until you have a smile on your face. What do? You go to your room and you come out with a smile on your face. Why? Because you want to get loved. Right. So what's the message? Anger's not okay, and I want to be loved, so I'm going to smile.
And if you're afraid, you got to be strong.
Yes. So saying not present, so how did we survive these traumas? We all survived the traumas by being good and smiling and being the good little boys and girls that we wanted in order to get loved. We smiled and did what they wanted us to do and didn't feel the feelings that the family says don't feel or show. And we live in one of 3 places. Some of us with our trauma chose to live out here, and that's the one that isn't present. You're still in your body, but there's a big piece of you that's wounded that's out here. Right. We live here. We survive trauma by being very intellectual and thinking everything through. Or a lot of people live here. And actually those are the people I believe that are in their bodies that really get overweight. Because I would say to everybody, what do you use to keep it down? Right. People that, I don't know if I should be saying this, my belief, we get overweight when those are the ones really in their bodies, but we've swallowed it down with something and held it in here. Okay, so we live in one of 3 places. So Amanae is about coming back into the body and finishing the traumas that we stuffed.
So really, in other words, we stuffed them into
the cells of the body.
And then Amanae comes in and helps you to release those emotions that you locked away.
First, find out where the person lives. Do they live out here? Do they live here? Or do they live here? And then it's an intuitive process of opening doorways in order, once the person can come into the body, fully surrender, it happens on its own. Right. The finishing happens on its own because it didn't finish because we live here. How can I finish, you know, I can speak about myself, my own incest and the feelings around it when I had to hold it in for so long if I'm living out here.
Right.
It's like, do what you want to do to me, I'm not in there, you know? And that's survival for a lot of incest people or a lot of rape victims. It's sort of like, I'm not in the body, you can do whatever you want to do.
Right. And I think it even goes beyond that because, you know, society brings you up to be a certain way. You know, little girls are to be seen and not heard.
Exactly.
Just like you said, your tantrums or, you know, whatever. It's always stuffed down deep.
And the body, our brilliant bodies, are always calling us to heal.
Right.
They will scream start with, you know, something like a sore throat over and over and over again. If you don't come down and let go of what's in the throat, what'd you swallow down, what did you not say, whatever, you know, it screams louder and louder and louder. And I believe that it screams into physical illness.
Right.
You know, when you don't listen. Back pain starts, okay, it's this. As you get older, it's louder and louder and louder. And all the body wants you to do is come down, feel it, let it go.
Right.
That's it. And what happens, these are wounded parts of us that never got finished. We're all walking around. You walk around year after year after year holding these wounded parts in. You are hurting, you know? And most people don't get this work unless they're either desperate or inspired, you know? It's like you can't stand your back pain anymore. You can't stand your chest pains anymore. You're going to let it go.
Right. And so this, to me, like, what it reminded me, like when you say, oh, I have stress.
Yeah.
You know, I have all these knots from stress. Well, a lot of those are what you said. They're held emotions. Yeah. And then so you can have massage and this, but if you really want something deep that takes you all the way in and lets you release it, then Amanae is the practice.
Yeah. Amanae is the practice because it lets go of the wounded parts. Massage soothes our little wounded parts. Amanae helps to let them go. When you let them go, you are not your wounded part. You are not the part that's scared. You are not the part that's angry. You are not the part that gets a bellyache or a backache. Those are just wounded parts that didn't finish. Who we really are, the real work of Amanae, is to find out who we really are. And who we really are peaceful, loving, incredible beings, you know, that are sort of behind these beings. This energy is behind all of this wounded stuff, you know, that's in the way, attracting situations into our lives in order to hopefully, it's our higher spirit, hopefully letting the stuff go.
Excellent.
You know?
Well, when we come back, we have my friend Mel, who's actually going to be your test patient today and have a session of Amanae right here on the Holistic Half.
Okay.